Yeah.
Hello there, boxing fans around the world. Thank you for joining us once again for another exciting episode of the Friday Night Panel featuring Mike Orr and myself. We're ready to rock. First up, the big fight that's going on right now, I suppose.
Yeah, man. The Hemphill card.
Yep.
Definitely. This is a good one. Showbox, the new generation. Hemphill versus Stevens. Starting 9 p.m. Eastern. Legendary trainers, guys. Buddy McGirt and Ronnie Shields will guide young, undefeated prospects, Sean Hemphill and David Stevens, in this main event of the popular Prospect Series. This one is getting underway tonight, guys. Two former trainers of the year will lead their young, undefeated fighters into the first Showbox card of 2023 as James Buddy McGirt, promising super middleweight prospect Sean Hemphill, faces off against Ronnie Shields, trained prodigy David Stevens, in the triple header set to get underway tonight, guys, live on Showtime from Wind Creek Casino. This one, it has three undefeated matchups, including fighters with a combined record of 61-0-1 with 43 knockouts. This marks the second consecutive year Showbox will open the new year featuring a triple header in which all six fighters enter fight night without a loss. Four of the six fighters hail from the state of Pennsylvania, with Hemphill, who is 14-0-8, 14-0 with 8 knockouts, of New Orleans. He's set to make this highly anticipated Showbox debut when he faces nearby Ready native Stevens, who's 11-0 with 8 knockouts in an 8-round super middleweight bout. In the co-main event, Atif Oberton, who's 7-0 with 6 knockouts, of Philadelphia, takes on Artem Bursov, who is 12-0 with 11 KOs, of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in an 8-round light heavyweight bout. The telecast opener pits two up-and-coming Pennsylvania fighters, as Reading's Julian Gonzalez, who's 8-0-1 with 8 KOs, and Rosalindo Morales, who's 9-0 with 2 KOs from Elwood City, put their unbeaten streaks to the test in this 8-round super featherweight bout. In 2002, McGirt, who worked the corner for such greats as Arturo Gatti, Antonio Tarver, Hasim Rockman, Sergey Kovalev, was named the Boxing Writers Association of America Trainer of the Year. A year later, in 2003, Shields, who has previously worked with such greats as Tyson and Holyfield, was named Trainer of the Year by the World Boxing Hall of Fame. So this card is going to be a great one, guys. We got some young, hungry, up-and-coming, undefeated guys on this card tonight, starting 9 p.m. Definitely going to want to watch this as these legendary trainers guide these young, hungry, undefeated prospects, to victory tonight. Definitely 6 men with zeros on those records, man, and 3 of them are going to leave tonight with a loss. So definitely it's going to be a fight to watch for sure. Graham, are you excited for this one? I know you've been following some of these kids on this card.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've been mentioning them on the news show as well. I in particular mentioned that interesting record, 61-0-1. Like, that's an incredible, three fights, undefeated. Someone's losing their zero, or learning from their loss, or however
exactly. Somebody's getting taught a lesson tonight. Well, actually, 3 people are getting taught lessons tonight is what's going to happen.
But in addition to, I've been mentioning this as well. I think the pendulum is starting to swing over to America with respect to the development of the talent on both sides, the Pacific and the Atlantic sides of America. And Showbox are doing a really, really good job, quite frankly, of putting great fights together and showcasing a lot of local talent. But there's an awful lot of ways you can define local, given the size of America and the size of its regions. But anyway, so I was excited to be reading those news items from Showbox, in particular the caliber of talent that they're bringing to the table. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing. Now I gotta say, I and you called it wrong last week when we called Kim Clavel to win and take those belts. So I'm cautious now to call Sean Hemphill an easy win on this one. But
Right.
If I were a betting man, that's who I'd be picking. Uh,
Yes.
but I've been
Well,
known to be wrong. I've been known to be wrong before.
we can't be right on all of them. We can't. You know, and trust me,
No,
one punch changes the entire outcome of a
uh,
fight, right? So you can't
as
always win them all.
as we have all found out.
Yes, we
Um,
have.
okay,
Hemphill made his pro debut 2019. He's already reeled off 14 consecutive wins after a standout amateur career. In his last bout nearly a year ago in January, Hemphill scored an 8-round unanimous decision over Jason Minda in front of his hometown New Orleans fans. The 27-year-old fought 3 times in 2021, 4 times in 2020, and 6 times in 2019. Stevens will be the first undefeated opponent Hemphill's career with multiple wins. Hemphill is managed by Adam Glenn, son of the late Jimmy Glenn, who owned the beloved Jimmy's Corner Bar in Midtown Manhattan and is well-known, iconic figure in boxing circles. Hemphill was a member of Team USA during a stellar amateur career with 55 wins, 12 losses. That saw him rise to become one of the top light heavyweights in the country. His nickname Silky is an amalgamation of his dad's nickname from his kickboxing days, Spider, and his smooth fighting style. Spiders produce silk, so that's where it comes from. Stevens fought 3 times in 2022. His busy schedule included a second round stoppage of Loris Barberio in July 23rd and a first round TKO of veteran Colby Courter on May 28th. The 22-year-old Stevens has stopped 4 of his last 5 opponents, relying on his polished skill set and aggressive hard punching style. He started boxing when he was 11. He went 60-8 in the amateurs, and among his amateur highlights, he's a 2-time junior Olympic gold medalist, silver gloves champion, ringside champion, USA Boxing Youth National Champion, Youth World Champion, championship qualifier. So definitely this one is going to be a, a battle, man. You got 2 guys here that are, on the verge of, hitting that next echelon of prospects, and one of them is going to leave with a loss on their belt, under their belt tonight. So definitely huge card, guys. Don't miss this one. 9 p.m. Eastern time is when this one gets underway. It's definitely shaping up to be a great night of boxing.
and a good intro, by the way, because when you speak of their careers and you speak of their records and you speak of their professionalism, it leads us into what happened over in the UK with respect to the Eubank Smith debacle during their press conference, and I think this illustrates the difference between the two boxing scenes right now. I
Mhm.
think America is quietly grooming its young boxers through the amateur ranks regionally because they have a lot of competition,
Yeah.
unbeknownst to the uh, British boxing supporters who think that the only people that need to be talked about are British fighters. So this fight is a great example of a really good stable of young fighters coming up through the ranks. We've talked about many often, and here are 2 that are going head to head, toe to toe. One of them willing to lose his 0 and will lose his 0,
Yeah.
and it's a close call. It really is. But I like Sean anyway. Um,
Me too.
yeah.
Me
Okay.
too. I'm thinking. I'm gonna say Hemphill is going to. I think he's going to come away with this one. To be honest,
Yeah.
that's my predictions. I have followed this kid for a long time. It's nice to see him finally headlining this great card put on by Showtime. Promoter Marshall Kaufman, matchmaker, it's King's Promotions. They seem to be doing well for the youth, man, and I'm very very excited to see 2023 and this youth, man. These guys coming up through these ranks and slowly becoming contenders instead of prospects.
Right.
And yeah, they are doing it. And honestly, these promotional companies are grooming their fighters properly. And I believe that this is the year that we are going to see a lot of new faces and a lot of upsets.
I
Definitely, we're in.
I also think this might be an example where Don King kind of steps in, if I'm not mistaken. I might be, but I don't think I am. But I think King's Promotions is Don King's company. But I think he's grooming his young managers, matchmakers, trainers, very quietly. Like Don King is not the old verbose Don King that he used to be. He still has things to say, But I'm pretty sure if we Googled it, I don't have time to Google it right this second, but I'm pretty sure King's Promotions is in fact Don King's company. But the point is it's not Don King standing front and center. It's he's letting the fighters stand front and center, and he's letting them let their fists do the talking, as opposed to what happened in England at the weigh-in. Hi, Gwen.
So,
So
another heated weigh-in, I guess, with the Eubank Jr. and Smith card, eh?
it must be disastrous for Sky Sports. You talk about all the other industries, sport industries, and how carefully they need to groom what their talent is saying, especially to not only a national but an international audience. And so for Chris Eubank and Liam Smith to both embarrass themselves and embarrass the sport, uh, it must have just sent shockwaves through Sky Sports. Must
Oh,
have indeed. And for those who don't know, Liam Smith called Chris Eubank basically gay. Chris Eubank turned around and basically said, "Yeah, well, you're cheating on your wife." So, I mean, they both
what a,
called.
what a go to the weigh-in, air your dirty laundry, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is not what I don't think. I mean, these guys. Okay, it's one thing to have a bitter rivalry and say things about certain opponents that you simply don't like. Fair enough, good stuff. But I think they crossed the line and they shouldn't have. Uh, is it training? I mean, training from the public relations perspective that's missing here. Like, should they just not be? Should they be told not to step over that line? In my humble opinion, yes, they should be told. I mean, take a look at the interviews
Yeah,
uh, between quarters, between halves, between periods in basketball and hockey. If you take a look at the interviews that are conducted, they're quick, they're succinct, they're to the point, but they're to the sport.
yeah.
There's no one airing dirty laundry in other professional sports. Why should boxing be known for such atrocities? But anyway, I digress. There's a big
I feel like 2022 was the year of weigh-in fights. To be honest, like how many weigh-in fights did we see in 2022 across the board? Like I can't even count how many times guys standing there toe to toe, ready for the picture. One guy breathes too hard, the other guy friggin' throws a punch. Next thing you know, it's a battle, and it keeps happening. It's you know what? It's unsportsmanlike. It really shouldn't be happening. Save it for the ring. That's what you guys are. You're paid
right.
prize fighters. What are you doing? Something stupid like that could cause an injury that could cause the fight to not even happen. And then you disappoint all these fans. Like, there's so many things that could go wrong in that situation. And really, we got to get a hold of it, man. Guys, harness that energy. I know you've been standing and talking shit about each other for months and, want to eat each other's children the way Mike Tyson says it. But listen, the realistic thing is you got to save it for the ring in the ring because you know what, outside of the ring don't mean shit. What do you want, an assault charge, or do you want your millions? Like, let's be real.
Yeah, and the other key consideration here is the audience itself, which you've touched on. Um, and the reality of it is the boxing demographic is actually lowering, proportionate to other sport industries, which is a really good thing. Younger people are getting more involved as spectators of the sport than in other sports. You might look at a golfing demographic, very aged, a tennis demographic, very aged, horse racing, very aged. Middle of the road sports, baseball, hockey, football, kind of bit of both. But most importantly, I thought also 2022 was a year where women broke through, and
Yes.
it became exciting as a sport for men and women to appreciate the energy and effort that was going behind those fights. So to see here, Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Smith completely embarrass themselves, you know, if I were a Sky Sports executive, I would be horrified at watching that take place.
I'm surprised
Only
there
be,
hasn't been I'm surprised there hasn't been like some sort of fines implemented yet for stuff like this.
I, I, there is definitely an investigation. There's definitely like it's if there's a board of governors somewhere, they're looking at it. Uh, because what was said was simply silly. Anyway,
Yeah.
were you gonna do a quick little recap because
Yeah, we're gonna touch on this,
okay, go
guys.
ahead because
You know,
there's a great undercard on that fight as well. So
yes, there is. Chris Eubank Jr., Liam Smith. It's officially on, guys. Get ready. Ultimate New Year's Bash as two of Britain's best boxers collide. Saturday, January 21st. This one's taking place at AO Arena in Manchester, guys. It's a blockbuster start to 2023. The middleweight rivals will go head to head in this eagerly anticipated bout live and exclusively in the UK and Republic of Ireland on Sky Sports, guys. Smith, he's 32-3-1 with 19 KOs, heads into this mouth-watering pay-per-view clash in the form of his life, following wins over Jesse Vargas, Anthony Fowler, and Roberto Garcia. And after his winning boxer debut in September, Smith immediately set his sights on Eubank Jr. as he plots the path to becoming the world champion for a second time. Smith, 34, memorably went toe-to-toe with Canelo Alvarez in 2016 and comes from a proud, illustrious bloodline of champions, including brother Paul Smith Jr., Stephen Smith, and Callum Smith. Eubank Jr., 32, 2-0, 23 knockouts, is a man whose family name needs no introduction at all. Son of legendary former world champion Chris Eubank, the 33-year-old has successfully carved out his own reputation in the sport. But in Smith, Eubank Jr. faces one of the toughest tests of his stellar career. The Brighton-based fighter was a former IBO world title holder and is entering his prime, intent on starting a new year in style. Eager to step back inside the ropes after his proposed October bout with Conor Ben was postponed. Eubank Jr. last fought in February when he comfortably outclassed Liam Williams in Cardiff with an impressive unanimous decision points victory. Chris Eubank Jr. said, quote, "Has he been in there with some good fighters? Yes. Are they on my level? No. He's a competent fighter, but class beats competence every day of the week. It's a good opportunity for me to show I'm twice the fighter that he is, as well as those he has faced." End quote. Big words. Liam Smith said, "He's making a big mistake fighting me. Every time he has stepped up to elite level, he has failed. I am elite, and he will fall again on January 21st in Manchester. If he was at 60% for the fight that never was against Conor Ben, then he'll need to be at 160% to be ready to face me, a former world champion, in front of thousands of my fans in the Northwest. For Chris, this is high risk, low reward. For me, it's perfect platform to show I will rule the world again in 2023. He needs to be prepared for the toughest night of his career." End quote. Big words. So no wonder that it got off to the way it did at this weigh-in. Pretty big. So
hey,
we're
Tim.
gonna touch now on this undercard because I'm
Yeah.
super excited. I'm super
There's a
excited.
there's a good heavyweight battle I want to talk
What's up,
about. Yeah.
champ? How's it going?
Hey, how you doing? Kind of late.
That's okay. It's okay, champ. It's good because I need to go shortly, and then you'll get to take over.
I just came in the door.
Right
Excellent.
on.
Yeah. So this undercard, this is pretty exciting. Ekel Usman, 18-0, taking on Chris Congo, guys, and this one is for the British welter, Commonwealth Boxing Council welter, the IBF European welter, and the WBC International Silver welter. And it has been agreed that Congo will not accept the IBF European belt and only fight for the British Common and WBC silver titles. So this one's big, scheduled. This one's getting underway, man. I can't wait to see this one. I'm super excited.
Did you
We're gonna
talk
see
about
12
Chris
rounds.
Eubank Jr.? Did you talk about Chris Eubank
Yeah,
Jr.?
yeah, we did. We talked
Oh,
about that.
okay.
But
Yeah,
we'd love to hear what you have to say about it.
Chris Eubank Jr., you heard
yeah.
them talking about the what's his name? Colin?
Oh,
The guy?
Liam Smith.
Liam.
Liam Smith. Yeah.
He called Ben he called him gay, right? Did
Yeah,
you
Yeah.
see
Liam Smith
that?
called him gay.
Yeah, he never seen him with a girlfriend.
That's right.
That's gonna be a fight.
yeah. It's good. It's good. It's definitely gonna be a fight. Also in action, Joseph Parker back in the ring, taking on Jack Massey. Fraser Clark kid that I've talked about before, taking on Kevin Nicholas Empindola. Richard Rappaport, here we go. Back in action. Can't wait to see him take on Krzysztof Glowacki. Scott Forrest is on here. Always a fan too. Matty Harris.
Yep.
We get to see Matty Harris back in action. Big boy, definitely
We talk
fan
about
of
him a lot.
We have talked about him.
Yep.
Yes, definitely. And he said he will reach out to you, Tim, when he's coming to Philly, so you can give him some defense lessons.
Definitely. I'm fully confident.
I know you are, champ. I know you are. Yeah, Matty Harris, honestly, he's been making some big noise over there. You know, just turned pro last year. He's now undefeated, staying undefeated. He's looking to keep that O tonight as he takes on Jiri Surmaj. Honestly, I think it's going to be an easy win for Matty Harris. You know, he's a big boy. This 23-year-old, 3-0, 2 knockouts. He's ranked number 47th out of 56.
How big is he?
He's 6'9", 6'8", 6'9", about 2 and change. He's a big boy.
He's as big as Tyson Fury.
Yeah, he's another Tyson Fury. He's weighed in anywhere between 255 and 275 pounds. So he's weighed in for 268 for tomorrow night. So definitely gonna want to watch this kid, man. Make quick work of his opponent. Frankie Stringer's on here as well. He's 3-0, taking on Christian Nevarez, who is 16, 51-6. So that's going to be a bit of a showcasing. But yes, definitely a great card. Can't wait. It's a good start. It's a good start to the day because this one's getting underway early because it is in the UK. So we will be able to see this. I want to say 2 p.m. Eastern time is when it starts, and then we move on to the nighttime. And Don King Productions presents Let Freedom Ring. Goodry versus Stevern.
Yep.
This one's getting underway. Fight TV starting 9 p.m. And Don King is returning to Casino Miami Ja'ala with another sensational championship card, the Clash of Champions Let Freedom Ring. Starting Saturday, this card will be highlighted by the WBA NABA Gold Heavyweight Championship, as well as the NABA Gold Heavyweight Champion Jonathan Gertie, 18-1-2 with 10 KOs of Dulick. LA will be risking his title against former WBC Heavyweight Champion Bermain Stevern, who is 25-5-1 with 21 KOs from Las Vegas. This one's going to be great, man. Goodry is coming off a sensational performance against tough DeCarry Scott. Goodry won a tough battle with Scott and sent him to the canvas at 2:01 of the 7th round to claim the NABA Gold Heavyweight title on June 11th, 2022 at Casino Miami. Goodry has started off the year suffering his first loss after 17 straight victories as a professional, losing a split decision and the WBA championship to Trevor Bryan in Warren, Ohio on January 29th. Stevern, like Goodry, lost his last fight to Trevor Bryan for the WBA Heavyweight Championship on January 29, 2021 at the Hard Rock Casino in Hollywood, Florida. Bryan floored Stevern twice, the last coming with 127 of the 11th round when referee Frank Gentile called a halt to the proceedings. So this one's going to be a big battle of these big boys. Can't wait to see this one. It is the first Don King card of the year. Also, he's added on 7 great fights to this undercard. We will see NABA welterweight champion Trayshawn Wiggins of Newborough, New York, will defend his title against Nigel Fennell, 13-1 with 8 KOs of San Diego in a 10-round bout. Wiggins thrilled fans at his last defense of his title at the Casino Miami when he knocked out Travis Castellan at 2:07 of the first round on June 11th. And then we got the WBA Continental America's middleweight champion, Ian Green, who's 16-2 with 11 KOs, will defend his title against undefeated Alexander Castro, who was 11-0 with 9 KOs from Tula, Colombia, in a 10-round title fight. Like Wiggins, Green was impressive on June 11th in Miami, winning unanimous 10-round decision over Anthony Link. This will be Castro's first fight in the United States. And the first 2 bouts of the night will feature a super lightweight attraction between Renel Midros, who's 7-0 with 2 knockouts of Miami, Florida, via Cuba, against Nelson Morales, who's 3-1 from Scranton, Pennsylvania, via the Dominican Republic for 6 rounds. The other 6-round bout is a light heavyweight attraction for 6 rounds featuring.
I'm sorry to cut you off. Who is that from Scranton?
Nelson Morales from Scranton.
Yeah, I used to train up there. Yeah.
Okay. So you know this kid then.
Yeah, Nelson. I used to when I used to train I used to train this big Spanish guy. I used to train him down there, and Nelson was coming to the same gym.
Okay.
I used to see him all the time. I used to see him almost every day. Yeah. He just got finished winning the fight about a month ago, right?
Yeah.
Yes, so, Nelson.
Yeah, Nelson Morales. So we're gonna see him back in action tomorrow night for a 6-rounder. That's gonna be great.
He's a nice kid too.
Yeah, and then we got Keemon Evans, 9-0-1 with 3 KOs of Florida against Cletus Pendeveris, who's 21-13-2 with 9 KOs of Lancaster. Then we have 3 Cuban fighters who will also be featured on this undercard. Alex Michael Perez, who is 4-11, will fight in a 6-round middleweight attraction against Carlos Cruz, who's 2-9 with 1 KO of Deerfield Beach via Nicaragua. And then we got Brendan Leon Salgado, who's 1-1, will enter the ring in a 4-round lightweight heavyweight attraction against Salome Flores Torres, who's 1-7 from Hastings. And the final Cuban fighter is Darian Favor Castro, who is 1-1, will be in a 6-round junior welterweight attraction against Ryan Schwartzberg, who is 1-8-2 with 1 KO out of Florida. So we got some great undercard action. Definitely some great cards to watch this weekend. Super excited about that. Yeah, it's nice to see Don King starting off the year right. Also, Sky Sports got this big Eubank Jr. Smith with a huge undercard. What a great undercard, honestly. And then we got the show box tonight showing the 6 undefeated prospects. 3 of them are definitely leaving with a loss under their belt, or a lesson under their belt. It's gonna be some great fights this weekend for sure, though.
Because it's Female Friday, I wanted to bring up just very quickly. There's a fight going on in Kissimmee, Florida, featuring one of my favorite female fighters, Jasmine Artiga. She's actually headlining that particular fight. It's called War Zone.
Yes.
So it's Female Friday. I just thought I'd bring that up. It's an entire card, and I didn't really recognize the majority of the names, so I won't read them all off. But we do know Jasmine Artiga. She is one of our favorites here on Talkin Fight, and she's actually headlining that. And that's down in Kissimmee, Florida.
I believe I talked about her last week, I think it was.
Oh, yeah?
On my Female Friday. I believe it was last week or the week before I was talking about her. She is 9-0-1 with 5 knockouts in that Superfly division. Wow. 30 years old. She's managed by Peter Kahn. She's coming off of a split decision win against Amy Salinas. That was back on July 28th. So she's, been out of the ring there for couple of months. It'd be nice to see her get in here as she takes on Ashley Sistiante, who is 6-2. So definitely, it's gonna be a good card out of Kissimmee. Yeah. Yes, I forgot to mention that one. It is Female Friday. There are a lot of there's a lot of fights going on. And this is a huge card too. This one's got at least I think it's got like 12 fights on it. I think.
Yeah, that's why I didn't want to list off all the fighters.
Yeah. This one's got a few.
It took a while for that boxer to get his money from Don King. What was his name? The English boxer, the heavyweight, the little small one. He's good. What's his name? The heavyweight.
The little one.
There's the heavyweight, the black boxer, and I think it took him like 3 weeks to get his money. It was DeBozy or something.
Daniel Dubois.
Dubois.
Yo, his last fight, it took him like about a month to get his money.
But you called him little?
Well, technically he is little. Technically he is in the heavyweight division, man. These heavyweights are big now, man. They're not.
What's interesting? Is it Joseph Parker who's fighting tomorrow night on that undercard?
Yeah,
Joe Parker from New Zealand.
I like Joseph Parker for some reason. I like him. Guy.
If he wins, he's got Massey. He's fighting Massey, who's no no small fry either. But the point matter is if he wins, he wants to take on Joe Joyce.
He already fought Joe Joyce and lost.
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
I know.
I was watching the fight last night.
And I think he also lost against Dillian White. But the point is he wants to rematch Joe Joyce. But it's just been announced, I think, by Eddie Hearn, that Joe Joyce is going to be fighting. What's that Chinese guy's name? Zhang Zhailai.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's that should be interesting.
Yeah, so Joe Joyce, right? Yeah. Joe Joyce is 15-0. He's a really good heavyweight, but he seems to be one of these avoided heavyweights. For
well, because he's got that
him.
gas tank that just doesn't quit, right? Like
I can tell you something about him, though.
He played rugby from the time he was like 3, right? So he's got this never-ending gas tank. His stamina is
he is open every second of the whole fight.
Yeah,
no defense.
But he's got a head like a truck.
I know.
And a chin of granite. Like he took Parker's best shots and ate them and came right through. Yeah. And Parker threw everything he had at him. So I don't know what Parker's thinking trying to rematch him. I think it would be the same outcome.
Probably think he could catch him he probably think he could catch him and it was probably thought it was easy to hit him.
Well, let me add to that. What Joseph Parker also said was, if I lose to Massey, I'm out.
Yeah.
So Joseph Parker might be fighting his last fight if he loses tomorrow night.
Right.
But if he wins, he wants to rematch against Joe Joyce. But Joe Joyce, it looks, is signed to do this Zhang Zhailai fight.
Yeah.
There's a few fights that were announced April 15th coming up. So anyway, yeah.
I can't wait. On that note, I have to get back to work, so I'm going to bounce out. You guys.
Yeah. Okay, Mike. Adios.
Yes. Thanks, guys. It's always a pleasure. We'll see you guys next week.
All right. See you later.
Take it easy, guys.
Okay. Where's the time at? Oh,
we're about halfway through. Let me just.
No, it's okay. Yeah.
Adjust my camera. One-on-one with Tim Witherspoon, former heavyweight champion of the world.
2 times. What about the ladies? The ladies really helped. The ladies really sparked up the show last time. Huh?
They were amazing when they get going. I mean, I must have sat there for 45 minutes like this.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was
they have great shows that they put on throughout the week, and they're actually our most popular shows, quite frankly. Us guys talking about boxing.
They have their own podcasts.
Yep, they have their own.
That's why they're so fluent. They just talk right properly and all that.
They are. They're both well spoken. They're both former boxers. Natalie's route in the boxing world was a bit rougher, shall we say. Brooke was a champion. So 2 great gals, and I love it when they come on the show because they have so much to say. And I, like Mike, should just hit that disappear button when they come on.
Yeah, he's probably going to go drink somewhere.
It is Friday. It is Friday. I see you're pretty active on social media. You've got quite a few videos I see that you're putting on Facebook and teaching guys defense, and like literally teaching guys defense in a series of videos, teaching the young guys how it should be done. And from what we see, the videos you're doing are pretty popular. So you're doing well, my man. You're doing well.
Well, thank you. Well, I looked on I've been looking on YouTube for a while, and I don't see, and I know there's some fake trainers on there. They're misleading. They're misleading people and boxers. Some of them never fought a day in their life. There's some guys they never fought a day, but they have big followings, and I'm like, I'm 2-time heavyweight champion of the world. I might as well get on there and see if I can do that. This guy, I don't know, I ain't gonna say no names, got all these followers and subscribers, and I'm saying he never fought. And he has a boxer that comes on the show and talks about certain things. And I'm like, wow, how did he get all that? Then there's another guy, he never fought a day in his life, and he's got a big following. I'm like, well, I might as well just come on and just beat Tim, and hopefully we can get something like that going too. you know.
Well, I'll tell you, just from a business perspective, I know we're sidestepping a little bit from our usual repartee, but YouTube over the past couple of years has really lowered their level of financial support for creators.
Mm,
They've opened up avenues for creators to make things easier or to promote themselves, but still, when we have thousands of subscribers on our YouTube channel, but in the last quarter of last year, we made 34 cents. That was the deposit made by YouTube to Talk and Fight. 34 cents. So that's why we decided to switch, and you should consider this as well, Tim. Switch over. We now broadcast our own shows. So the shows that you're seeing right now is being broadcast on, I believe, 15 different platforms simultaneously, of which YouTube is one. But primarily, we broadcast it on talkandfight.com, and underneath
mm.
it is a little button that says, do you want to offer up a donation and support our podcasters? So gals like Natalie and Brooke are earning some money by having fans provide them with an income. So, if you want to talk to Eric about doing your show through Talk and Fight, you really should.
We be
Because
doing videos, like Brian Robinson. I mean to cut you off. Brian Robinson is a marketing director for the medical world, and he's been at the head of it. He's been, and we be analyzing videos and charging people, $25 to analyze a 5-minute video. He's very creative, and I think that we can try to get to a lot of people. Get to a lot of people and stuff like that. We analyze videos. We put up videos. He was on the show a long time ago. He was on the show before.
I'll tell you what, the other popular show that we have here on Talk and Fight is Cedric Ben's, where he does the
Oh,
scorecards.
Cedric.
Yeah, when Cedric does his now, unfortunately for us, he's been scooped up by Boxing Ontario to become a professional trainer, which is
Oh,
not bad at all for the province of Ontario, because during the tenure of the sports commissioner here in this province, which is a pretty big province with a lot of great boxing gyms, but there was a fellow by the name of Ken Hayashi who absolutely single-handedly destroyed professional boxing here in Ontario, which, if you remember, Tim, used to be a mecca. Toronto Maple Leaf Gardens, Muhammad Ali used to come up here and then fight at Maple Leaf
I know.
Gardens. But anyway, Ken Hayashi came along and said that boxing was violent, boxing was dangerous, and he was going to ban it. And so he made it really, 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 really tough. I mean, I
What
don't
kind
think
of
there are.
power do he have? What kind of power?
Well, as sports commissioner, he was given the authority to
Okay.
literally authorize a fight, whether or not it could take place or not. And he did not authorize it. I mean,
Okay.
I think you can count on one finger how many he authorized. But the point matter is he's now out. He's gone. And we're seeing a big rebound here in the province,
Right.
including
That's
the
cool.
city of Toronto. So the city of Toronto is rebounding. We, Talk and Fight, have been to several fights recently, live streamed them, and have done really, really well. There's been thousands of
Okay.
people who've watched them. So just like Philadelphia is a big boxing city, so is Toronto. Just for fun, just think about the analogy between fighting cities. Like, you've got Philadelphia and Toronto, the hockey teams, they hate
Mm-hmm.
each other. I don't know if you remember
Yeah,
back when
filling up your flowers in the Montreal Canadian. No, what is the
yeah. Well,
Montreal
we got our Toronto Maple Leafs, and back in the day,
Maple Leafs? Yeah. What
you
was about?
guys had the Broad Street Bullies back in the
Yeah,
day,
yeah, the
and
Broad Street Bullies. I live only 5 minutes from the stadium. 10 minutes.
really,
Yeah,
so it,
I was
is
born
that
and raised 10 minutes from the Spectrum.
what they call the 2400 arena these days?
No, no,
Oh,
that's
that's
the
different.
2400. Is that basketball?
Well, no, they have a lot of boxing events at the 2400 these
Oh
days.
no, I think that's on Delaware Avenue. That's on Delaware Avenue.
So
It's only like 10 minutes away.
in that neighborhood. So anyway. So
It's not
Phil,
exactly. It's not exactly where the On that, it's only about 10 minutes away. That's all.
They might have torn down the stadium on Broad Street, the old
What
one, to replace it with whatever the new one's called.
what stadium? Not the Blue Horizon. You're not talking about the Blue Horizon.
No. The stadium where now I'm trying to think where the Flyers used to play.
Oh, the Spectrum.
The old Spectrum. Did they
Yeah,
tear that
no,
down?
it ain't tore down.
No?
I think that's tore down, is it?
Well, I
I
don't
have
know.
it
You
down
live
here.
in Philadelphia. You tell me. They converted Maple Leaf Gardens actually. So they built a brand new stadium for the hockey team and for the Toronto Raptors, the basketball team.
Okay.
But the old stadium, Maple Leaf Gardens, they converted it into the hockey rink. They
Okay.
left as a hockey rink, and they built a shopping center around it. And then on top of it, there are condos. So they completely, because it's a historic site, quite frankly. It was built in the 30s. It's quite a beautiful building, quite frankly.
Okay.
But we are really digressing from what I should be talking about and what you should be talking about with me. You know what I wanted to talk about? I wanted to talk about women in the sport, and because
Of women in sports, huh?
I was kind of disappointed that Natalie wasn't joining us tonight, but she's busy. So is Brooke. But what I wanted to, because this always gets them a little bit upset whenever I discuss the top 10 pound for pound
Okay.
female fighters, because
I'm
they
not
kind of
familiar.
they fluctuate quite a bit more than
Yeah.
the men do. So I'm just going to read off a couple just so you become a little bit more educated in this. So the next time when Natalie
Do I need a
and
pencil
Brooke,
and paper?
yeah, so this is for the benefit of you and me to be
Okay.
educated when it comes to women's fighters, because
Okay.
they completely outclass us when it comes to knowledge of women's
I
fighters.
know they was really sharp. They knew everything. I'm like,
They
okay.
did. So let me just rock through this for you. Clarissa Shields, okay, an American. Yep, she remains atop the ESPN women's pound for pound rankings, with Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano keeping their spots second and third behind her. But then this week the list changes. Junior lightweight unified champ Alicia Baumgartner has moved up one spot to number 4 after her victory over Michaela Mayer, while Mayer then goes to number 6 to number 7 on the list. Another fighter making a big move is Chantel Cameron, who now moves up who moves up 5 places after her impressive victory over Jessica McCaskill to become the undisputed junior welterweight champion. McCaskill drops 1 spot after the loss. Natasha Jonas makes her top 10 debut after defeating a Canadian, Marie-Eve Decaire, to unify 3 of the 4 major junior middleweight world titles. So that rounds out, so these are the names, Tim, that we should become familiar with real quick.
Oh, I need a recording.
But it's interesting because these women, I was saying to Mike just before he came on, that there are women headlining a card down in Florida. Oh, you might have just caught the tail end of it. The reason I was introducing that particular subject is because once again, female fighters are the main event, and there's an undercard filled of male fighters. So I think there's been a really nice change. It's
How many
brought
times did that happen? How many times has that happened?
Well, in the past year, well, there was 3 big fights. Like, there are many fights, but there were 3 big fights last year. I haven't heard of any big fights being announced yet this year, but they're sure to come. I'm sure it's just a matter of money.
Layla Ali and Jackie Frazier was a main event. Was that a main event? Remember when they fought? Was that a main event? And everybody fought on the undercard.
I was going to say, I hope you're not talking about Mike Tyson's League of Legends, but you're talking about
Jackie Frazier when she fought Layla Ali years ago.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Back in the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was a main event, right?
Yeah, well, absolutely. I'm what I'm saying is it's coming full circle, where we now have some big names that have a fan base, a huge fan base, and these fans, this is what we need. Now, there was an interesting article this week written in response to one of our fellows who used to come on the show quite often. He's an old promoter and probably a matchmaker. But the point of the matter is he's I think he's out of Buffalo. His name's Rick Glazer, and he
I
put
heard that.
on
Yeah, Rick Glazer.
yeah okay.
Remember
Well,
him?
he came out and he said a couple of things, but one of the things that he said is he was really surprised at the low pay-per-view numbers that the Tank Davis fight got, and he was reporting 61,000 pay-per-views. So then Showtime came up and said, "Wait a sec, that's not right at all. Our statistics indicate there were 200,000 pay-per-view viewers." So the numbers vary depending who you listen to. But the point is I think the women who fight are attracting an awful lot of people, because they're fighting in big cities, whether it
And they
be
fight too. They
and
be
they
fighting.
really do fight. They put on great shows. We I remember the big Ebony Bridges fight where she came out. Her eye was swollen way out to here, but she went the distance, and no one thought she could fight. Everyone just thought she was, a bikini model,
Oh,
but
she
no,
looked nice, huh? She looked
she
nice.
looked great, looks
Okay.
great, and fought well, really well. And I think this turned the boxing world on its head, because everyone was thinking, oh, what's she doing in the ring? But boy, did she fight. And so it opened up a lot of eyes. And this was just last year. So, above and beyond all the efforts of Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano, and above and beyond that, you do have these now new names coming up, rising up through the various divisions. But on a pound for pound level, like I said, these are the names that we need to keep track of as we talk to these ladies on the Friday night panel, just so we look smart too,
Yeah, I know. They just take over. They take over. They go back and forth, and we just sit there like
Yeah.
idle and stuff. Yeah.
So who are you looking forward to seeing fight this year? Because I like talk. I used to do a heavyweight show with a fella out of England, a guy by the name of Christian von Sponek, who, boy oh boy, is an absolute genius when it comes to facts and figures.
Yeah, I'm not. I got to get it right. I
Yeah.
got to get it right, man.
So every week we used to discuss the heavyweight, specifically the heavyweight division, both the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, and beyond, and who was coming up through the ranks. I think it's
Okay.
interesting. I think let me just have a quick little look here. I think this is the anniversary of one of the big historic fights. Let me have a quick little look here. Oh, I can't find it. Oh yeah, it is. The big George Foreman Joe Frazier fight 50 years later.
Oh, Joe, is that when he hit Joe Frazier and Joe Frazier jumped up?
Revisiting the shocking, iconic heavyweight title fight back in January 22nd, 1973. Wow. I was only 13 when that happened. Yeah,
I'm like,
Joe.
whoa. So I'm like about how many years older than you?
I'm okay, sport
Don't
fans.
have to tell your age. Don't tell your age.
I'm 62. I'm 62.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
So
got you.
you got a few years. I know you do. But anyway, so back when I was a newspaper boy, throwing the sports section, I was reading. This is how I became involved in boxing, because I was a newspaper boy, and I was always reading about Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier.
What kind of sports did you like?
Back when I was a kid,
Yeah.
I never boxed.
Okay.
My dad told me, he says, Graham, he says, you couldn't box your way out of a paper bag.
That could have motivated you.
It should have, but it didn't. I was more into skiing, quite frankly, back then.
Okay.
Had a bit of fun going down the hill at 100 miles an hour.
Rich people. Yo, skiing, golfing.
Hardly. Just
Okay.
put pieces of wood on my feet and let me go down the hill. Just give me a push and away I go. But anyway, so this is a really good article on the George Foreman Joe Frazier. Let's have a quick look at it.
Okay.
Foreman prayed Frazier wouldn't drop his gaze. He said, "I'm so glad he didn't look down because my knees were shaking." That's what that's what George Foreman said. He said, "I didn't fear anyone except Joe. I watched his fights, and he was like a machine. If you hit him, he liked it. If you missed, he got angry and came after you. I hoped something would have happened to me before I'd ever have to fight for the title." So there you go. Unfortunately for Frazier, plenty happened to him on January 22nd, 1973, in one of boxing history's most brutal heavyweight championship fights, which included 6 knockdowns and spawned the infamous "Down goes Frazier, down goes Frazier, down goes Frazier" call from announcer Howard Cosell. Wow, there's a name from the past.
I remember that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that.
That bout was so savage that Foreman yelled to his manager and to referee Arthur McCant to stop the fight before I kill him. Foreman's victory remains the highlight of his Hall of Fame boxing career, and it was Frazier's worst defeat, just 2 years after his greatest triumph in his classic bout with Muhammad Ali in the fight of the century. Wow.
Smoking Joe.
Smoking Joe.
I used to see him all the time. He showed me, he was telling me about how to put the weight on your left foot, left like knee in that area and throw the left hook. I used to go over there and spar in his gym with his nephew.
Wow.
Never really sparred with Marvis. I just fought him. I fought him in the amateurs and everything. So, and Joe liked me. Like I said on the show before, he called me Wooder because he couldn't say Witherspoon. Well, that's what his lawyer said to me one time. I told you on the show, I said, I felt special because Joe would call me Wooder. And he said, no, he said he called you Wooder because you can't say Witherspoon. And I was like, oh man, I thought I was special. You know, but he liked me. He liked me. I go into the gym, and Joe was really productive in the gym with the boxers and stuff. He was really, he was on them and serious. You know, and he made some good boxers. You know, him and a couple of the trainers that he had there.
It's one of the things that we've talked about often, not you and me personally, but some of the other guys. I say, like, if you talk to any Englishman or anyone from Britain, they will tell you that the best heavyweight fighters in the world are from Britain. Period. But back in the day, if you think about it, there seems to have always been this back and forth that the English tend to forget about, where you had the Muhammad Ali's, the Joe Frazier's, the George Foremans,
Yeah,
even a Canadian George Chuvalo. But the point of the matter is
he was tough.
there were a lot of
George was
big,
tough.
and let's not forget about when you move into the eras of the Mike Tysons,
Okay.
Holyfields. These are all Americans. So at the end of the day, and Lennox Lewis actually was trained in Toronto. His mother moved him to Toronto from England. He got trained in Toronto. He won a gold at the Olympics for Canada. Then he moved back to England and
Yeah,
fought professionally for the English. But so in other words, we've had a lot of great heavyweight fighters come out of North America that tend to get overlooked by the British press. And that's why Mike and I tend to often bring up Jared Anderson, Big Baby, and a couple of
Big
other,
Baby. Yeah,
yeah,
well,
a
Big
couple of,
Baby's from America though, right?
yeah, he is.
So why
No,
you bring him up? I know it's good too because he is a good boxer.
because our argument is there's an awful lot of heavyweights slowly, quietly getting in the number of fights, getting in the
Okay,
expertise
okay.
on both sides of both the West Coast and the East Coast, and maybe a little bit in the Midwest, but not so much. But the point of the matter is I think America is grooming, and before he came on, what Mike and I were talking about is the management styles. So, for example, in England, you had that horrible weigh-in between Eubank and Smith, where they were saying inappropriate things to each other,
I
and
know, I know.
and and I think American managers tend to frown on that, and they coach their boxers a lot better in term, if that's proper English.
You know,
They teach them properly how to speak in front of the microphone.
yeah,
Um,
but Liam, that was interesting though when Liam said that about him being gay and all that. That kind of like sells the show. Now you were saying that you would want them to get steered away from talking like that, right? But that generates some real interest if you say stuff like that, because then you got to prove it in the ring. What do you
Well,
think?
it might generate interest though from the wrong circles.
Okay,
I
that
think
was
in this
deep though. That was deep calling them gay,
it,
right?
I think it was unnecessary at the
Okay,
end of the day.
okay.
I've
I'm with you. I'm with you on
on,
that.
on my news show, for example, I tend to quote boxers who say really funny things. Like when I say them, like very rationally, it's probably not how they came out the boxer's mouth. Like I'm gonna beat his brains in type thing, and I say
Okay.
it. I'm gonna beat his brains. Whereas the boxer, when he said it, was probably yelling it.
You don't
So
think he should have said that gay stuff, right?
no, he definitely shouldn't have.
Okay, I'm with you on that. I'm with you.
There's no reason to talk about someone's wife or someone's mother, someone's sister, or
Yeah,
someone's sexuality. Who cares?
right,
At the
right.
end of the day, what you're more interested in is hearing the tactics, the techniques, the training regimen, the hardships you've had to go through to get to where you are. Um,
What are you going
like
to do to each other? What are you
yeah,
going to do to each other?
absolutely, absolutely. And whether or not your trainers have allowed you to see footage, or whether footage is even available, because now it's a big thing. You don't get to see much training footage, whereas in the past it used to be all over social media. And nowadays, trainers are very cautious about what they release to the public because they know the opposition camp uh, can watch it and analyze it. Um,
That
so,
is important. That is important.
so these, as a fan, uh, these are the things that I would like to hear at a weigh-in, at a press
Yeah.
conference. These are the things I would like to hear. You know, I'm not interested in what someone does in their bedroom. I'm not interested in what someone does,
Makes a
uh,
lot of sense.
right? So that's why I say so. It might generate interest, um, and some people are probably in pubs right now in England laughing about it, but it's not funny at all, and
You're right about that.
it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to the guys.
Eubanks held his own though, didn't he? He like, what did Eubanks say bad?
So after you bet, okay, I think
I seen it, but then it was
Liam
fast.
Smith said, we've never seen you with a woman type
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And Eubanks came back and said, well, uh, you're fooling around on your wife type thing.
Oh, he
And
cheated. Now that ain't too. That ain't. Oh, I don't know. Go ahead. Go ahead.
so I'm just saying, okay,
Is
it
that
might have
bad
been,
saying that about him cheating on his wife? He seen him
it,
or something?
well, these guys have been going back and forth via social media anyway, so that they don't like each other, period. They don't like each other at
It's
all.
going to be a
Okay.
fight. That's going to be a fight.
That's right. And
Yeah.
all I was saying was that, in my personal opinion, I would rather hear them talk intelligently about how they have trained for
100%.
this fight.
100%.
How they are going to be, like, for example, just for example, pick any other sport. Okay. Uh, Anything, tennis, golf, basketball, baseball, hockey, anything, rugby, anything. If you're interviewing a player before the game, okay, I guarantee you that player is not going to be talking about the other player's sexuality or the other player's wives. I guarantee it. That player, when he's being interviewed by the media, will be talking about the sport. He'll be talking about his team, his teammates, where they're strong, where they're weak, where they've had some trouble, where they've addressed those issues. Uh, they might talk about some of the trainers and some of the regimens that have been brought into play. They may talk about some of the foods and some of the nutritionists who've come on. Like, these are new things that new sports have added to an athlete's overall game plan as to how they're going to win, because that's the name of the game, winning. I mean, you don't play to lose. Well,
But
most of us.
boxing is like physical, and you try to hurt each other. Not like shooting a basketball, but really the things that he said, that was really like, I was like, when I seen it, I was like, wow. And Eubanks held his own. He held his own, but he said something negative back too, like cheating.
Right.
Cheating ain't as bad as saying gay to
Right.
me.
Right. It's not. It's not as bad, and that's why I do
As bad.
I do believe Liam Smith is going to get in a bit of trouble. He is what do they call it,
How's he gonna get
misconduct.
in trouble?
Well, there's some governing body who's looking at the
Okay,
misconduct.
okay,
Yeah, it's kind of like getting a 2-minute penalty in hockey. You know,
okay.
he's done something wrong. He's going to get penalized. He has apologized, but more importantly, they are going to fight. It's going to be a good fight, and it's going to be a fight with intent.
Is it
So
Saturday? It's Saturday.
yeah, it's tomorrow. It'll be tomorrow afternoon our time. So try to catch it.
Where? What is it going to be on?
Well, it's on Sky Sports over there. I'm not sure who's picked it up over here.
I'm gonna try to figure something out because Mike usually.
Yeah, we have our ways and means of watching these fights.
I'm gonna get in touch with y'all guys. Y'all watching that fight? I want to see it. Eubanks he was burning up a little bit, but you could tell he was kind of upset, but he kind of like held it.
Yeah, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, there's a level of professionalism that's expected by not only Sky, because Sky Sports were quite upset as to what they said.
Oh, they were.
Yeah, so and remember, so we just mentioned Howard Cosell. Okay.
Yep.
As great as an announcer he was, you and I both remember he got fired for what he said. So broadcasters, no matter how
What did
big
he
they
say?
are, he said something rather incredulous, such as black
He used to
athletes
say a
have.
lot of things.
Well, yeah, but this one was what got him fired. He said something like, someone Google this for me, please. But he said something like, black athletes have an extra tendon or an extra muscle. That's what makes them go faster than white guys. So anyway, so it was a racist comment, and he got fired for it. And I'm just saying, at the height at the pinnacle. I mean, this guy, I remember him. He was a broadcaster in every sport.
Yeah.
He was so well respected.
Yes,
But what
he
I'm
was.
saying is so Sky Sports must be those guys at the executive level over at Sky Sports must be furious at their local producers for allowing that barrage to go back and forth. I'm quite certain that in the future, Sky Sports will have a little bit of a chit chat with the managers before and say to them, I guarantee this, because their public relations people will be going through the roof right now, saying this cannot happen in this day and age of inclusivity, where we have to be inclusive and we have to be respectful and we can't be saying certain things, especially when it's being shown not just nationally but shown internationally,
worldwide,
and not only terrestrially on an actual television station, but through all those social media platforms. So I'm quite certain that there behind the scenes there will be words said, and people will be put in their place. But nonetheless,
penalties maybe,
and penalties. But for you and I, for the boxing fan out there, we're going to see a great fight. We're going to see a great fight.
I'm gonna check in with y'all guys and see if I can get a link.
Yeah, and I think out of it, because Chris Eubank Jr. was going to fight Conor Benn, if you remember.
And what happened with that?
Well, remember he went and got tested positive.
That's right.
For that female fertility pill that he was taking. So I don't know why someone would be taking. So anyway, so he claims
to make you strong or something.
It's supposed to. It enables women to get pregnant more easily.
You serious?
So
he was taking that.
Yes. So I guess someone had given him the advice that potentially this medicine also makes you stronger. Maybe who knows?
Oh, okay.
It's one of those steroid type drugs.
Yeah.
But so he is arguing he's not been suspended, but he's volunteered. How do you say it? He's self-volunteered his license, so he's not fighting while he's being investigated. Now, I
Okay.
believe he's managed by Eddie Hearn, by the way.
Okay.
And so Matchroom, I'm sure, will have all sorts of lawyers involved in this. But the anti-doping agency in England uh, did not one but two tests. They were both positive for this drug. So Conor Benn embarrassed himself and embarrassed the sport, because what athlete at that level needs to be taking those kinds of? They don't need to be taking those kinds of drugs. Whether you're in the Olympics, and the Olympic committee certainly have no issues banning people, even gold medalists.
Yeah.
They will take those. They will take those gold medals away from those people if they find any kind of steroid action happening. So Conor Benn was supposed to fight Chris Eubank Jr. last
That would have
year.
been a fight. That would
Yeah,
have been a fight.
yeah. So it will be interesting to see who ends up fighting the winner of Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Smith. It'll be interesting to see who ends up fighting, because they've both got really good records. They've said a lot now. They've said as much as they're going to say.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Let's get ready to rumble. Let's leave it all in the ring. I'm looking forward to it. Let's put it that way. I'm looking forward to it. It's one of these fights that
Tomorrow what time? So I gotta set my alarm clock.
I'm gonna argue the undercard starts our time. I'm guessing between 1 and 2 p.m. the undercard, but it's a really good undercard. The undercard is not one to be missed either. As Mike was saying, you've got a whack of really good names in there, including one of our favorites, Matty Harris. So there's a lot to watch tomorrow, and then there's a Don King fight after it as well. So
okay.
So it's a good weekend of action. Tonight there are fights going on, and as I say, the big one, the one
big coming on tonight?
The one we're all talking about now because of what they're talking about over there.
Okay.
Okay, Tim, that pretty well rounds us out. We've done our hour. I see. You got anything for me? Got any juicy tidbits? Got any? You hear anything?
No.
All right.
I'm kind of like I like doing family stuff and training, trying to get my health in shape. Usually sometimes my eyes be a little closed like this on Friday, but now I'm now they opening up and stuff.
Good.
Yours is closed right now. No, you're all right.
No, I'm fine. I have a bit of allergy or whatever. Believe
So
me,
I've been exercising. Going to the gym. I've been training some young kids. I had this kid. He progressed in like 3 weeks real fast. Where this kid was there for 6 months.
Wow.
This kid I had he just shot past this kid in terms of skills just in 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, just in 3 weeks. This light heavyweight, I was training him, and when he first came in, he didn't know how to do stuff. But there was kids in the gym that was training 3 and 4 months, and they still the same. And just in 3 weeks, he passed by them. I got him like this. I got him his hands right. I got him jabbing right with his hands there. When them other guys still's doing this, I felt kind of proud about that. I felt kind of. His name is Tim. Matter of fact, his name is Tim too.
I was just about to say we should have a show on Talkin' Fight called Tips from Tim, or Tim's Tips.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. You're very creative. Tim's Tips or Tip Tim. Oh, no Tip Tim. Okay.
All right, there we go.
I'm gonna make some. Oh, I'm back on vegetarian stuff. I'm back in vegetarian. It's like my third week. Yeah, I was on it for 5 years. And then when times got a little rough, I was eating chicken and fish, like I said before in the show. Now I'm back on it. Shania's mom, my daughter that's from Tottenham, her mom, we talked to her mom, and she's a vegetarian. Now she's a vegetarian, and she called me and told me about it. I said, "Oh, let me try it again." And I tried it. Now I'm staying on. It's been 3 weeks now.
Someone once told me that red meat is actually addictive. You can actually become addictive. So it's really hard to quit eating red meat. And whether it be roast beef or a good steak or a hamburger, red meat is really hard to pull yourself off. And so I congratulate you for eating vegetarian and
I feel a lot better.
Saving them cows.
Okay. Okay, so we looking forward to next week.
We will, and we'll have lots to talk about next week. I'll invite Natalie and Brooke and get their perspective. Now that you and I are caught up on the women,
Okay.
we'll invite the women panelists back on, and they can argue back and forth about women, and we can argue along with them.
Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go after we finish. I'm gonna go check and see if I pass. If I'm in the 30s, if I'm in the 30s, 230s, because that's what I was pushing for today. I was 243 yesterday, and so now I'm gonna go see if I'm 239 or 8, and if I'm
Wow.
not, I know I'm gonna be there by Wednesday.
Wow.
Thank you for having me on the show again, and looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for joining me, Tim. Appreciate it. Appreciate your insight. Appreciate your perseverance,
Thank you.
especially what you're doing for the young people.
It's
Providing
very
them the
important.
guidance that they need, keeping them off the streets, keeping them clean, keeping them healthy, setting a good example. These are things that are inspirational, and it's guys like you,
Thank you.
a champ
They are
of the
future.
world
They are future. They are
twice.
future.
Hey, so let's all
Kids
keep
are
that
our
in mind.
future. They are future. The kids.
Exactly, and
Yeah.
and they need to be taught, and taught well, and taught properly how to live their lives, and don't make the same mistakes we did. So we'll see you again next week, Tim. Appreciate coming on. Thank you,
Thank you.
Talkin Fight fans, for joining us. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we'll see you next Friday.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.